The name is Brandon Groce. And we are the Game Changers. Designers, creatives alike. We are in a world that runs on value. Our next designs will be the shiniest. Our next animation will be the most buttery. Ladies and gentlemen, Game Changers, let the games begin.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another session of Editor X Live with me, your host, Brandon Groce. As you can see, I do have the tie ready back from getting washed. With that being said, I want to say hello to all of you guys in the chat. Welcome, welcome. I am super excited to be here with all of you for challenge number 3. We are going to be working on another portfolio website, so you guys have more tools in your toolkit to, number one, obviously practice, but 2, be able to really see. You know, we worked on a portfolio day 1. Now we're going to add some other things to the mix, and I'm super excited what we're going to go through today. And with that said, before we get started, I do need to do some house cleaning items, so let's go through that very quickly. And if you haven't already, say hi in the chat, but I'm hoping you guys are super excited. Let us know if you are new here and to Editor X so I can give you guys context. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let us begin. So first things first, if you haven't already and you do want to join us on these next 2 weeks of challenges, again, the challenges are going from February 28th to March 11th. So you guys can join us anytime during the week. And of course, after each one of these challenges days, you can submit them in our Discord, which we'll be talking about. And you guys get some amazing prizes. So if you guys want to join us, first off, you want to go to editorx.com, go to Start Now, sign up, and create your account for free to begin working and learning along with us, and also just getting your first foot in the door creating awesome, responsive websites today. Second of all, if you haven't already, you definitely want to join our Discord, where you guys will be getting all the announcements of when the challenges are going to be, when the live streams are going to happen, so on and so forth. But more importantly, you guys are able to submit your challenges here, where we have quite a few submissions already, and I'm super excited to showcase some of them at the end of today's challenge. There's tons of advice. You guys can ask questions. I come in and I answer them, every single question that you guys have, so we can get better each and every day. And of course, you can always introduce yourself, chat, and just say hello to all of the other awesome creatives like yourselves in the channel. It's all about community. All right, so with that said, now let's dive into the challenge for today. Today is very simple and fun. So let's take a look. I'm going to go to, this is essentially what we are going to build today very quickly. And I think honestly, this is a 30-minute project. And if you guys at any time have any questions, thoughts, concerns, let me know in the chat and I'll go ahead and answer those things for you. So what we're going to do is we are going to create, and by the way, links in the description. If you guys want the assets for this project, you guys can go to the link in the description. And I listened to you guys yesterday. It is not a Adobe XD or Figma or a sketch file. It is a Dropbox just with the photos, so you guys can work alongside me very quickly, very easily. So you guys can get that first link down in the YouTube description. What's going on, Lisa? Good morning. How are you doing? Good to see you here. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started with this. We also have some hover animations over to the right here. So we're gonna be dealing with how to do this nice little cool effect over here with the different changing colors of our photo, and also our hover effects just like this. What's going on, Lorraine? Good to see you, my friend. Glad the team is here. All the hard workers are in the chat. I like this. So with this said, I'm going to edit my site, and I'm just going to make a new page here. Add new page, and I will call this challenge 3. I called this challenge, I called yesterday's challenge 3 because it was the day 3. I was totally lost in the days, guys. So first things first, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to delete this menu because it's kind of already, you know what? Should I keep this? You know, I'm just going to change the background because it is different from the default background that you guys are going to get. So I'm going to try to stick with what you guys are going to have. So I'm going to put this white, and I'm just going to change my logo color here. And I'm going to change my menu color here as well, just so we get the start off of this to be exactly what you guys are going to get when you open a new project. All right, so I have my blank, essentially, canvas here. And so what we want to do, if we go back to, I'm actually going to duplicate this, and I'm going to open up the previous page so we can use that as reference. There we go. All right, so this is the, oh, and I changed the master on accident. Oh well, we'll change it back. So I'm gonna go to my pages here, and I'm gonna make sure that this is, I wanna make sure we have the right page here. All right, so this is the correct page. All right, so what we want to do here is we're gonna make one section, and today we're actually gonna learn about vertical sections, okay? So what we're gonna do first is we are going to make, first off, we're gonna just put an image in here, our first image. So I'm gonna add an element, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to my images. I'm gonna pull this in here, scale it to the full size, and I'm gonna change it to our first shoe here. And I'm just gonna duplicate this 3 more times. So I am going to make sure my section is selected, and I am going to hit shortcut Control D to duplicate, and it makes another and one more. So what I'm gonna do from here is I think I might need to make one more. So I'm gonna make one more. So now I have 4 sections, as you guys can see, with all having a different photo. Hey, what's going on, mini stars? Lane here. What's going? And I'm totally sorry if I destroy your name. I'm so sorry, but it will take me time. Okay. My last name, I totally know what that feels like. My last name is Groce, so I apologize. I know what that feels like, but names are important, so give me time, and if you can correct me, that is awesome as well. So to reiterate, what I've done here is I have my 4 sections. I basically made one, duplicated it 4 times, and essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into each one of these, change image, and I am going to get a different color photo for each one. So let's see, maybe we'll do the light green one first. And I think it's Laney, your name. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think after reading, it looks, you know, that is the correct pronunciation. So I'm just changing the colors here, and I am, here we go, blue. All right, Laney says I said it right. All right, cool. Woo. All right, so I have my 4 different photos here, and now what I'm gonna do, this is a little bit different. We have not done this week, is I'm actually gonna click over to the side here, if you guys can see that. And now I have this blue add section button on the right-hand side. So I'm gonna show that again. I'm gonna click off of that. Just pretty much how we get the add section button here, right above or below any of the sections that we click on. If I click over to the right, I get an add section on the right or the left. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I do want to make sure, because sometimes something happens a little tricky here, and we'll see if it happens. So I'm going to add a section. Oh, sweet, it didn't. Perfect. Last time I did this, it scooted over my menu, and I'm super happy that it didn't, which is great. And actually, it might for you, and I'll show you guys why it didn't for me. I'm going to actually set this to, forgot I had this. So I actually have my menu pinned, which wasn't really fair to not tell you guys. So I'm going to set this to default, and you'll see what happens. So if I set this to default, it pushes my menu over. So I'm going to undo my section stuff. I'm going to fix my logo or my main navigation. Reason being is because this is not the, my menu's edited. And what I mean by that is the blank states that you guys are going to have when you open a new project are not going to have the same options or settings that mine have on default. So I'm going to set my position back to default, the settings that your menu will have when you open a blank. Nishant, what's going on? Glad you're here, my friend. All right, so what we're going to be doing here is I've set everything to default position. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab our vertical section here, and it has pushed over my menu. We'll fix that later. But I'm gonna just pull this over almost to like 50-50. And next we'll fix the menu. So what I did to make sure that the menu overlapped both sides of the website is I went from position type to default to pinned. And I made sure, there's a couple things that we can do, right? We can either keep it there. This is totally up to you. Or you can overlap next section, which will basically make the menu come over top of these images. Or over top the next section. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And again, just to reiterate, because I know you guys came in just a little bit, some of you guys like cascadedly came in. If you guys have any questions about what I'm doing or I'm going too fast, please pause me and, you know, pick out the things that you guys want me to elaborate on, and I'm happy to do that. Alicia, what is going on? All right, Mini Stars asking your defaults. Is that something you set or because you're copying from another blank project? So what I mean by that is, for example, if I go to a brand new blank slate website, basically why I undid all that is because I did not, I'll tell you in a second. Let me just go ahead and make a blank website. So I'm going to create a new website. Dance a little bit while it's coming up. It's getting everything together. We're going to do Editor X. Julius, what is happening, my friend? Watching from the Philippines. Glad to have you. All right, so I'm going to do blank canvas. So blank canvas, essentially everything is default. Like this is what you guys are going to start off with, right? Now, why I went ahead and changed some of the settings on my menu navigation is because I had already changed the menu and I had forgot to change my settings to what you guys are going to be working with. So if I click this menu, everything is already default. The position type is default. But on mine already, I had already edited it to be pinned. And I totally forgot to change that back so that when we got here and we're live streaming, I could go through it and change it with you and have you guys see all the steps rather than it already being, rather than it already being pinned. So this is what you guys are gonna have. Basically, I had already pinned it and I had forgot that I left it pinned. So I just wanted to show you guys how I changed it from what you guys are gonna be working with to what it needs to be and where I had it, if that makes sense. Good question. So let me find my tab here. So now that we have our menu, and I'm gonna close, I think I'm in my project like twice. It's fine. All right, so next thing, we have our new section. What we're gonna do here and play around with this is I am going to click on this section. I am going to apply a grid, and I want a vertical grid. So I am going to do a 1x4. I want 4 pieces. Sweet, awesome. Lainey says, got it. All right, cool. So now what I'm gonna do here is I basically created, now have grid lines here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna create containers for each one of these blocks here. So I'm gonna right click, quick add container. Pull this here. I'm gonna increase it to the full size. And as you guys can see, this section is leading up into the header here. And I think it's because it's basically because I've used the pinned. So the menu is going to be over top of everything. And what I want to do here is I'm gonna add a image here, quick select image. I'm gonna pull this in here. I'm gonna pull our other portfolio images in here. I love the ghost, so we're gonna go ghost first. It's just so cute, guys. You know what I'm saying? How can we not do that first? And up next, what I actually really want to do also is, well, maybe we'll do this later. It's not so important now. But I want to make it so that each one of these is below the menu. We'll play around with that later. So now we have over in here, we have a image inside of a container, and I'm gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna basically select the container that our image is in, Control D or Command D to duplicate it, and I'm gonna drag this to the next spot. And I'm gonna scale that in that box, just like this, and make sure it's in there. Scale it, oops. Let's see. Boom, boom. And of course you can use your side panel too. That's why, you know, one of you guys had a great question. When is it appropriate to actually use your drag and drop, or when do you use your inspector tools? I could have totally gone to my inspector tools or my sidebar and fixed everything with, numbers, but sometimes I get a little lazy and just hit Control D. I try to drag it in. I scale it down so that when I actually do hit the expand button, and it's not in the menu. Whoops. Here we go. Boom. And then Control D. And pull this down. And some people actually do use their inspector tools to move all this stuff. But this is just how I feel good doing this. And also you guys can see that our footer menu we have the same problem that our menu had up top here. We can figure that out later, but I'm actually gonna just remove this for right now, or don't display. So don't display, boom. And now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna change each one of these images. So I'm gonna do my Halloween theme stuff first. We have our ghost, we have our little crystal ball. I think that it's, okay, that's a moon. I was like, that looks like a crystal ball. And we have our pumpkins. Change image here. I am going to do next our little, I have no idea. Who wants to name this? I don't know what this looks like. It looks like a coral reef with, some abstract balls in there. And so what I'm going to do here is, I don't like how this is cropped. Okay, I want this to be the focal point. So I'm just going to click on focal point, and I'm going to pull the focal point a little bit further up. There we go. I'm going to pull it even more up just so we can get that nice and centered. Excellent. And I'm going to change my last image here, and we are going to go to, we're going to just do the original shoes here. All right, perfect. So now what we want to do is I'm actually going to, let's do this. So I'm going to change the menu color very quickly. I'm going to change this to black. I'm going to turn the opacity down just a little bit, just so we get a little bit of a see-through. And now we're going to start messing around with this side of things. Lorraine says coral is good. Yeah, I have no idea what that is. But what we're going to do now with this section over here, and after I turn this logo white very quickly, is we are going to start so this is what we have so far. We don't have that effect. Essentially, we just have things over here, and we have photos over here. But I want something to, we want that little reveal effect that we have. Or at least that's what I'm calling it. So I'm going to start clicking on our images over here. I'm going to click this cog, or our settings, and our scroll behavior I want to be reveal. And I'm going to do that for every single photo here. And then I will show you guys what exactly this does. Boom, scroll behavior reveal. And make sure you're clicking on the image here. Settings, scroll behavior, reveal. Perfect. So you won't see this effect happen until we go to preview. And now you'll see a little bit of what's happening here. Now, of course, one thing we do have to do is we actually did not set the height of our website, which is extremely important because we want each section to be 100% VH, which is why it looks extremely weird when we preview it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to each one of our sections, go to layers, section 1. I'm going to go to my layout, height, we're going to do 100 VH. There we go. Now we can see a little bit more of that shoe, and we can also increase that if we would like. Next section, 100 VH. Third section, 100 VH. And last section, 100 VH. Blow. All right. So now let's take a look at what we have. All right, so now this is looking a little bit better. Okay, so we have that nice reveal. And now what we can do is we're going to start messing around with what's happening over here with these images. We kind of want to add a little bit of a, what's we call it? We want to add a hover effect to these puppies. So what you want to do, and you want to make sure that your images are in a container, because that's how you set interactions up. You can't put interactions directly on an image, although you can put animations on an image. So what we're going to do here, and before I do that, again, we're going to change the text of our menu just so we can actually see the menu here. There we go. And now let's start working on the containers of our images. So I'm going to select this container. As you guys can see, I'm going to open up my layers. I'm going to call this Ghost so we can distinguish. Ghost, Halloween. We'll do Coral. And we will do Shoe at the end. All right, and what we're going to do here is I'm going to start with Ghost. Nishant is asking, is the reveal used as a parallax effect? That's a great question. So there's actually, there's two different settings. So this is reveal. I'll show you what parallax does. So I'm going to edit the site again. I'm going to click on our shoe. I'm going to do, instead of reveal, I'm going to go to the parallax setting. And so this is the difference between those two. So I'm going to go to preview. And I wonder if, you know what, instead of doing that, I'm going to do it on this side because, you know, the other effects, I don't want to have to change every effect on the left-hand side. So let's just play on the right. So I'm going to click this image. I'm going to go to settings, scroll behavior, parallax. Go to preview. So parallax, this is what it does. If you can see, the ghost is slowly hiding itself behind its container, if that makes sense. So left side is reveal, right side is parallax. And I'm going to do that to one more. I'm going to do that to this. Scroll behavior, parallax. Now you can, parallax is if you want to have a perfect parallax image, as you guys can see, the image basically hit itself really far down. You can try to fix that with your focal point, and if that doesn't work, you're probably going to have to utilize you're going to have to create your containers in a way that displays your images correctly. So with that said, we're not going to cover that today because that literally can be a whole conversation in itself, and it's going to take time to explain and things of that nature. But here's what I'll say. Before I do all of that, let me just preview this so I can answer your guys' questions about parallax versus reveal. But here's one thing I want you guys to do. If you guys are watching here, first off, do not forget to subscribe and like this video if you're enjoying these conversations and these tutorials. But I highly suggest if you guys want to learn along with me, because we're trying to build this out so we can build really intricate, advanced, and also beginner-friendly content. If you guys join our Discord and you go to our Ask a Question section, we are answering questions that you have. Both myself and the EditorX team have people in here that can answer your questions, but I'm making sure to answer any and all of your questions, even outside of these. So Discord is a huge resource for you guys. So definitely in the description, join us. All right, so this is the difference between reveal and parallax. I hope that answers your question, ladies and gentlemen. And I am going to just change, you know what, I'm gonna leave it for now. Or at least for the ghost, I think is cute. However, for the moon and our other things, I'm gonna undo that parallax because I don't think it fits for that image and how we cropped it. Now, what I do wanna do, going back to our containers of our images, I am gonna start going to my inspector in this lightning, which is our interactions. And now we can create hover interactions. So I'm gonna click that. And you can either use the automatically suggested transitions, or you can create custom interactions. We're not going to cover custom interactions today, but we will go over our little transitions that we have here. So what I like to use for this example, I'm going to use shrink. Okay, and there's a couple we can use. We can play, show what that looks like. We can decrease, or we can increase the time in which the animation starts, basically a delay, and how long the animation takes. So for example, this animation that we're looking at here Takes about 0.2, I think basically that means 0.2 seconds to do this animation. We have different easing. We have ease in, ease out. We have ease in, ease out, and linear. So these are different ways in which how the animation is affected. For example, you can try different easings so you can see which one you actually like, which one fits your fancy. And I'm actually gonna mess with the timing a little bit. We'll do, just for now, we're gonna do 0.5 seconds. Ease in, ease out, and see what that looks like. It's a little slow, but let's take a look at that. And by the way, this interaction, this is what it looks like. It does not, the end looks choppy. That is not how it looks like actual live. So I'm gonna go ahead and preview this so you guys can see what happens. So we have our scrolling, right? I'm gonna go back to the top. I'm gonna hover over this. See how clean that is? It does not snap back, and it goes back slowly once I hover away from it. So we have a nice little hover effect now. All right, and I'm going back to the chat here. Alicia said, can you do these effects to a whole container or only a photo? I mean, reveal and parallax. You can see, this is the cool thing. All of these little things that I'm showing you guys, they are building blocks. So you can make things super complex with the reveal and the parallax sort of settings. I'm just showing you guys how to use those settings on an image for this particular context. So everything that you guys see, you guys can start. This is why I like to focus on the fundamentals, because once you guys start understanding, oh, the reveal, the parallax, these are settings, and I can apply these to really anything. The world is your oyster, or Editor X is your oyster. I think that's the terminology. Maybe it's not. Anyways, I'm hungry, but that's a good question, Alicia. Nishant says, are you friends with the Design Buddy folks? Got to know that you are streaming whole week for their Discord. Yes, of course. Design Buddies is awesome. I'm super excited to be doing some things with them. And some very, very incredible things. But so just like we did this for our one photo, we are going to do this for the rest. So I'm gonna go ahead and click our image, make sure we are selecting the container. Go to my inspector, add hover. We're gonna do shrink. We're gonna do 0.5. We're gonna do not 5 seconds, that's a long time. Ease in and out. Boom. Just play it. Ta-da! And we're just gonna do the same thing for each and every piece. Inspector, hover, shrink. Every time I open the thing, I see sync, and I'm like, oh, it's that one, because it looks like shrink, but it's not. Okay, 0.5. Ease in and out. Boom. Test it out. That's exactly what we want. And we will do one last one. Make sure we're getting that container. Go to interactions. And we will play again with shrink. 0.5 seconds. And we will do ease in and out. Check that out. Boom. All right. So let's check this puppy out. We're going to preview very quickly. We have our nice little reveal happening over here. We have our nice little hover animations to our left, or excuse me, to our right. And I don't want this little white area here, so I'm gonna go in there and actually change. I'm gonna go to my layers, I'm gonna go to page, and I'm actually gonna go to the color, the background color of the page. I'm just make it black, just so we have dark area here. And a dark area up here. Now, if you want to, for example, as you guys can see, there is basically a discrepancy on, how long this side of the page is versus this side of the page. We can very easily go to my vertical section here. And I believe our width, let's see. If we want, we'll play around with this later. But this is a whole, what I want to focus on today is how to get this nice reveal, these hovers over here, and bringing this down to responsive. We'll deal with the whole sizing stuff a little bit later. is a whole nother conversation, and I feel myself diverting already. But you just want to make sure that both sides of the website, both your vertical section and the addition of all these sections that you have on the left, equal to the same height that you want your site to be. So if you remember, all of these sites, we did 100 VH, 100 VH, 100 VH. Whereas our vertical section, we didn't really define that. So we'll talk about that a little bit closer towards the end if we have time. Or we might just focus that on a total other video. So now what we need to do is we need to open Pandora's box. We want to go to tablet and see what mess has been created. So we're going to go to tablet, and so far we only see our images from the right side. So let's go ahead and play with this. And I think some of the people who, I think Lorraine, let me know if this was you. You were asking what happens when there's basically a overreaching of your containers here. So this is an excellent example where we see our container is a little bit too far and we have this scroll bar here, and it's a pain in the butt. So really what that means is that that vertical whole section is too big. So what we're gonna do is, one, we're gonna select our vertical, and what we see here, let's take a look at this. So our tablet width is 768 pixels when the width of the container of our vertical section is 806. It's too big. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take this. One solution is to make the actual, the actual, and we might just do 100% here to see if it will actually go to. We're gonna make it fluid, 100%. Looks like that is, and we're gonna take this off anyway. We're gonna remake this. So I'm gonna do don't display. And so all I should be left with is our shoes. Because the vertical section, it's really difficult to work with because we made it specifically for desktop, and gets really complicated to work with when you start getting into smaller viewports. So we're just gonna hide it and we're gonna remake it. So we still have our shoes. We're gonna preview here. Everything is still working hunky-dory. Very nice, we have our shoes. Now what we want to do is after our shoes, right? We are gonna add another section. I'm gonna Control D. We have a nice new section here. And I am going to remove the image. I'm just gonna delete this. I'm gonna make sure that didn't do anything over here. Okay. It did add a section, but that's about it. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna apply a grid. We're gonna do a 2x2. And we are going to have this height be, we could do 100, let's just do 100 VH. Let's do that, we'll play with that. And what I'm gonna do in here is I am going to, we're gonna do our containers yet again. Quick add container. And we're gonna do the same process that we did in our previous desktop page. We're gonna get our image here. Scale that up, and we're gonna get our ghost. Perfect, and I'm just gonna Control D to duplicate it and bring it to our other thing here. Perfect, I think that fits excellently. Control D. I'm gonna pull this over here till it snaps, Control D. And just to show you guys, if you don't want to drag and you don't wanna, maybe you're not dragging it correctly, another thing that we can do, for example, is if I have this here, obviously I can drag this into the next container, but if I go to my inspector here and I go to grid area, we can see that this right here, basically if I pull this over, look at these numbers. It shows that this piece of content is in column 2, so in this area, but ends in 3. So basically, man, it's very difficult to explain all this, but each one of these blocks is a different grid area that corresponds to different numbers. So if I do 1, to 3. Basically, what I'm telling Editor X is say, hey, start in column 1, which is this column over here, and end in column, basically what is considered column 3, which is this part over here. It is in column 2, but it's pulling it all the way. It's considering 3. So for example, 1 and 2 is this area. If I do 2 and 3, it's this area here. It's very confusing, but if you get used to it, you'll start to understand it. So for example, if I do, let's do 1, 2, and then I'm gonna do 1, 2. So each number, or these are like quadrants. So if I want to put it back into, let's say this one, we're gonna do column 2. Oh, excuse me. Yep, column 2. It's gonna end in column 3. If we want to bring it to the third one, we're gonna do column 1, 2, and row 2, 3. So I hope that makes sense. You kind of got to think it kind of like each edge is a row. So this is the beginning of column 1. This is the beginning of column 2. This is the beginning of column 3. So I'm going to move it over to the second column like that. But you can always drag it and expand it. You know, you gotta use your brain a little bit, but always you can always drag. But for those of you guys who kind of wanted to know other ways, that's there as an option. All right, so we have our images, and I'm gonna go to the chat. I think there was a question. Nishant says, do you design your websites in XD first before you come to Editor X, or do you directly roll with it? That is a good question. I always need, as a designer, to be able to lay out my stuff and basically get things in my mind pixel perfect in terms of vision, and then I come to Editor X to finish it out. That's just how I roll, but some people, you know, they're able to just go and, you know, kill the game in Editor X. You know, more power to them. I'm just gonna change out all of our assets here. Boom, boom, change image. We're gonna go to our little, I call it a donut, but it looks like, you know, we're gonna keep with the coral name. And we're gonna go with our shoe. And just like what we did before, what we're gonna do here is go to each container, lightning, or our interaction here. Make sure we are actually selecting our container, not our image. You cannot do interactions on images. Shrink. And we're just gonna say yes to, you know, the default here. Just to save time. Container, add hover interaction, shrink. Container, add hover interaction, shrink, and last one, container, hover interaction, and shrink. Okay, so now we have our tablet. So let's take a look. So we have our nice little reveal, and then we have our photos here. It looks like I missed a interaction, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's do container, transition, shrink. There we go. Preview. Oh, why is it not being nice? What's happening here? Container. For some reason, it is not taking my shrink. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's odd. Let me do a quick refresh here. Let's see what happens. I'm just gonna drag them and go monkey mode. Nishant, I do the same exact thing, but some people were asking about, like, how do you use your toolbar versus dragging and dropping? Listen, I'm the first one to drag and drop. The numbers I want to leave alone, but, you know, to kind of explain how it works, I tried my best at it. Lisa says, if you set the interaction before you duplicate, will it keep the interaction so you don't have to redo for all 4 of them? The answer is yes, and probably a smarter way of doing wow, hold on. I think the site literally deleted, what just happened? Oh no, I'm on the wrong thing. I got scared, guys. I'm on the wrong page. I was like, it deleted everything. All right, whew, I was about to scream. All right, we're good. So let's go to preview. All right, boom, boom, boom. Yes, Lisa, to answer to your question, if you do everything on one, you can actually, if you duplicate it, all of the settings will be on that. I'm just kind of showing you guys very rudimentary version of just like how do you put images in containers? How do you do, all the simple things, but you are thinking exactly right. And to even go even further, I'll show you guys how you can save assets. So you don't have to keep remaking things across web pages. So I'm gonna try this one more time. Image, container, interactions, boop, boop, shrink. All right, preview. There we go. All right, awesome. So now let me show you guys how to make these things assets, right? So I'm gonna go to container, make sure my container is selected. I can right click and I can go to, let's see, save as asset. And so I'm gonna call this container with image plus animation. And I can add this if you want. We can create different libraries, but I'm just gonna save this to my saved overall assets. Kind of think of this as a component. Or kind of like one. Not quite a master, but so what I'm gonna go ahead and do here is I'm gonna go to my plus here, my quick add, and I'm gonna go to assets. And I have a whole bunch of saved assets in here, and I'm gonna try to find, let's see, I do not see what I've created. Let's try this again. Container, save asset, container, plus interaction. Boom, saved assets. Let's go add. Alrighty. That should be adding in here. I have no idea why it's not adding, but essentially other things that I have done, if we go here, essentially think of it like this, just how these are things that are prepackaged and we can easily drag out onto the page. What you save in assets, you should be able to pull out and back onto your screen. For example, if I took this section, we're gonna do another example. If I take this section, I can create a master from it. So I'm gonna make set master section. And so what that means is I can go to my masters here, and this should work. Section, let's see. All right. I should be able to drag them right from out of here. Let's see. I'm gonna have to get the answer for you on that, guys. I don't know why it's not working how I expect. It's showing me the sections as a master, but I don't know why I am unable to just drag from here. But it is showing that it's here, and it says I can show it, I can duplicate it, things of that nature. Yeah, I don't know. I have to get the answers for you on that. But to continue on all the way to mobile, preview, we still have our nice shoe stuff, and we can decrease the size of this as well. We have 100 VH on these shoes. We probably don't need all that. And then we have our little section here. Now things are getting a little bit squished. We don't want that. So we're gonna go ahead and we are going to click on this section. And we're gonna change the grid layout. We are going to do, maybe we can squeeze some of these things, make them more square, but probably not. There we go. There we go. And we can also go in here and we can come up with the actual numbers that we want here. So we have, so this is all the way down here. We don't need all of that. So let's do this. I'm gonna pull this section up. I'm gonna go to my inspector. We're gonna see what the numbers these are. So we have about 50, almost 50 VH. I'm gonna give this an actual gonna give this 50 right here. And let's see, each one of these containers, or rather we're gonna go back to the section and we are going to basically edit what these are. So we have 50 VH. I want each top and bottom, I want them to be 50% of the total height of that section. So we're gonna do 50-50. And we are also going to do, rather than FR, we are going to do percentages. I want them to be 50-50. All right. And rather than a rectangle, what I am going to do is I'm going to make this whole section a square. So height, I wish we could do the, let's see. Maybe what happens if we do 500 pixels? Or just squeeze it to what we want. Let's see. I'm going to try to manually just make it more square. Something like that. Now you don't have to have it square. You totally could have just changed the section, for example, like this. Section, change grid, 1x4, and gone to change grid layout, advanced, and just pulled these puppies. I really wish I can grab this little bit down here. I'm gonna make each one of these 400. Just give space to each image. 400, 400, 400. And they're all resizing accordingly. 400 that way. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you guys can do this. So I'm just showing you different avenues to basically get different types of looks. We did basically a grid of 4, then we were like, let's give these images a little bit more space. And so that's kind of what we have here. We have a nice reveal, and then we have our individual images, and we can also, if we wanted to, add the hover states to those as well. All right, let me go back and check your guys' questions over here. Lisa says, it looks like as soon as you right click it, it's default back to just the image rather than the container. Yeah, so why we have breadcrumbs. So for example, if I click this, right? Just imagine if we were in Photoshop or Adobe XD. The first thing that we click, even if it's the group, it will select, is a little bit inverse. You'll select the group. Or imagine you have layers in your platform of choice in design. You have 2 overlapping layers. The first thing that you click, even though it's overlapping layers, is going to be the first thing. Same thing is happening in Editor X. So when we click an area, it's going to give us that first option, or that first thing that's in front of us. But we need to use the breadcrumbs to go and select the parents of the child that we've selected, essentially. So we've selected the image, we're going to hover over that breadcrumb, and we see the container in the vertical section that is holding the container that is then holding the image. Select container, and then you have your options to edit for that container. Lainey says saved asset refresh or doesn't like plus sign. Honestly, I have no idea. We're working on quite a few bugs, and this might be one of them, but guys, Editor X is still a fairly new software, and that is why, even though you guys can do some great things, that's why we're trying to work with you guys so we can get feedback, make the product better, and it is already 99.9% there. There are just some things that, sometimes we have to reset the browser a little bit to make sure things are working properly, but nothing is detrimental in terms of what we're showing you guys, but we're trying to stay focused while also answering all the questions you guys have, and there's tons of different conversations we can dive into. Let's see. If that was the case, then it wouldn't let it be saved by the ad. UIX tips. I'm unsure what you're asking here, my friend. Lorraine says, great explanation. I just meant when you right click to save as asset. Oh, that's what you were talking about. Okay, let me see if this works. So you guys are basically saying when I was right clicking I wasn't saving the asset as the container, so it was a Brandon error. All right, let's see what happens here. Oh, there it is. All right, so let's see what happens. Let's see if it actually pulled in there. That's what you guys were saying. My apologies. Huh. It's still not applying. However, for to be continued on this. I'll get you guys the answer for this one and why this isn't particularly working. Maybe what it means is if I select the image, maybe I can save just the image. We're learning together, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what we got. So we're trying to save the image this time. Let's go back and see what we have here. And they're just not showing. I see the test one, I see the ghost. It showed a little bit, but then it disappeared. So we'll have to figure that out, guys. But overall, we have accomplished our task for today. We're gonna start at desktop, we're gonna go to preview. And so we have our reveal features over here. We have our hover features over here. And of course, you guys can add text, what have you, on this particular project. Today's goal is trying out the reveal feature as well as trying some hover things out for a semi-simple portfolio homepage. You guys can link it to projects and things if you want to. And actually, I think we can cover how to actually link things in another project. Or if you guys want to right now, I can show you guys how to link your images to different pages, web addresses, anchors, things of that nature. If you just click on your image or any image, you have a little link here. We click that and you can either link it to none, another page on your website, a web address. So if you're using social media icons or images, you can use this to send them to Instagram or YouTube, send them to an email, a phone number, and even to a lightbox. So that's kind of what we're working with today. I'm gonna go back to preview and take a look at what we have for our tablet. Very simple. Boom, we have our 4-grid layout here. And we're gonna go to mobile. Here we go. Again, reveal. And there we go, guys. So with that said, you guys can edit to your heart's delight the types of photos that you guys are using for this, how they appear. We just, for time, we didn't mesh and push and pull the images. We just wanted to show you what it looks like to reveal and how to actually utilize the vertical sidebar interactions using containers. And that's really about it. So, whew, that was a lot of talking, guys. That was a lot, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed today's session, and I'm excited to see your guys' challenges for today. And also, before I forget, there were some amazing things in our Discord shared with us, and I want to kind of, give them some love. So first off, we had in our challenges today, we had a couple submissions from our first and second day challenges. So I'm going to just open these up really quick. First off, I want to say thank you guys so much for really, putting a lot of good work into your websites. Like, these are awesome. I love seeing your guys' progress. I love the fact where you guys are, asking questions about things that you had troubles with, so I can come in, swoop in, and try to answer your guys' questions. I love the fact that a lot of you guys, you really killed it with, this was a very hard challenge with the eyeball. In making this challenge, I really had to think about, the problems that we were going to fall into, and especially, I love the fact that you added some of the eyebrows here. You guys did a really good job with, doing these things. I do see you also pinned, you have your footer and your, and your header. If you actually remove those, they will help tremendously because they're making wonky things happen. That's actually why we pulled it off the website in the first place. But shout out to Lorraine, Latex, and Geek Girl LV. You guys are awesome. Keep doing the amazing work you guys are doing. And that's it for today. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nishan says, nice session. Lisa says, thank you, Brandon. Nishant says, or UIX Tips says, I say nothing's wrong with that. Let's see. Nishant says, if you see a portfolio website which takes you to Behance projects or Medium, that's not a problem at all. A lot of people use Behance and Medium as a portfolio, really, where they put all their case studies, their work. It's all about the problems that you solve, not where and how you solve them, and the outcomes that you have in regards to you going up against those in solving those problems. People don't care about where your portfolio is hosted. All you need to be able to do is, what people are looking for is people that can help them solve their problems. If you show that, whether that's on Behance, Medium, or a perfectly made portfolio website, more power to you. It's all about solving problems. With that said, I want to thank you guys, Lorraine, Lisa, Elijah, Nishant, UIX, many stars. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I look forward to seeing your more questions and challenges in our Discord. And yeah, don't forget, the hottest design at the end of these next 2 weeks gets a beautiful branded pack from Editor X. So with that said, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. We are doing a Tesla website. So first, very unique and complex project. Other than the eyeball, it's actually a lot simpler, honestly, than the eyeball, because we're just using grids. So I'm excited to see you guys there, and I'll see you then. Have a great day. Talk soon. Bye.
Dope responsive websites like this and even this for you and your clients within just minutes. First off, you can achieve all of this and much more in the powerful no-code platform, Editor X. On these dates, I will be hosting live daily creative challenges on YouTube to teach you the fundamentals of Editor X and how to create the exact responsive websites you see here, all the way from start to publishing the website. If this sounds of interest to you and you want to improve your Editor X skills, join me live each and every month to get inspired by what amazing things we will create together during our creative challenges, as well as get your questions answered live while we work together. Click the link below to sign up and get notified when the challenges begin, and I will see you in our Discord. See you then.